never left. Every
What is up, fellas and fillettes? Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a hard, dark, kind of like spazzy type beat that I think someone like Rio Leyva would make. Typically for the artist, like kind of like Yeet or something like that, kind of like an underground kind of vibe to it. So I will be showing you how to make that today. This beat's really hard. I think you're gonna like it. But before we get into that, as you may have noticed, I'm on another channel. So I actually made my old channel, my Type Beats channel, and then I made this channel, which is going to be my secondary channel, where I just post kind of mainly music stuff, but kind of just whatever in general. So like tutorials, stuff like this, all that series on like where I spill sauce or whatever, I guess. But yeah, so this is gonna be on the second channel, and then over the next few weeks I'm gonna be migrating all my old tutorials and stuff to this channel. That way I have it kind of more organized and how I would like it. And so then I'll just keep uploading tutorials and stuff on this channel and type beats and stuff on the other channel. That way I have things more organized. So be sure to subscribe to this channel as well, and my other channel. That way you get the maximum amount of me. But anyways, I just want to get that elephant in the room kind of said and done. That way you know what's going on. With that being said, go ahead and check out all my other socials. The link for all of them, including my other channel, will be linked in the description below. Be sure to do all the YouTube stuff, especially on this new channel. It will help me out like a lot. So be sure to do that, and let's just go ahead and get into today's beat. Alright, so this beat is kind of a lot packed into one file, has a lot of layers to it. So let's just start with the main section right here that has the most of the melody in it, and let's just start in the melody. So the first thing we have is this key pattern I made with a one shot. It's not really chords, but a lot of moving notes, and it's kind of a little more ambient. But it also has a lot of those middle frequencies. It's like the base of the melody that everything is built upon. And so it's the main melody, but here's what that sounds like. And on that I put some Valhalla Supermassive to make it a little more ambient and kind of give it a cool effect. And next we have this piano, and it's more to just accent like the downbeat right here, here, and here, and then just give it a little more rhythm by establishing these notes right here. So nothing crazy, it's just to accent some notes and rhythms, but here's what that sounds like. Nothing too crazy, like I said. And then next we have this lead, which is kind of just the higher frequencies to the main melody, and it's a little bit of an ambient texture, but also kind of just a top line. So here's what that sounds like. So that's going to blend really nicely with the kind of mid frequencies of the main melody, and it's going to give it some higher frequencies so it fills up more of the EQ and makes the melody sound more full. And with that fuzzy sound, it provides a really nice texture to the melody. So next we have these arpeggiating plucks. I just used a one shot again and put some effects on it, some Supermassive again to make it a little more ambient and kind of have it ring out a little bit. But these are just basic arpeggiations. Arpeggiations, is that a word? But nonetheless, it just goes up. So we got the root note, a fifth, a root note, a fifth, and so I have that repeating and going up and down and all around. So It kind of just serves as an ambient kind of texture as well, kind of like a particle sparkly kind of sound to it. But here's what that sounds like. And so that kind of just blends in the melody and kind of sits on the background and kind of adds like a little shimmer, sparkle kind of sound to it, and just adds a little bit more depth to the melody and a little more movement. So finally we have the main lead right here. This is the main top line and the most catchy part, the part that sticks out the most. So it provides a catchy melody and has a nice rhythm to it. It's just something that will get stuck in your head. And it sits on top of the beat. It gives it kind of a catchy character. So here's what that sounds like. And then the last element of the melody is this bass. It's just a sub bass to kind of follow the root notes and establish a little bit of a rhythm. Nothing too special, just to give it a little bit of that low end whenever the drums aren't in. So here's what that sounds like. So here's what the entire melody put together sounds like. So, as you can hear, you got that fuzzy texture, the movement, the shimmer kind of sound, and then like the dark accents from the keys, and then the main melody that just kind of fills in all the gaps and ties everything together. And like along with the catchy lead and the bass, it's just a really full, really good sounding melody in my opinion. That's pretty much it for the melody. So let's just go ahead and move on to the drums. So the first thing we have is the snare pattern. It's a basic-ish snare pattern. It kind of just has some accent notes in there to kind of shake it up a little bit. So here's what that sounds like. Nothing too crazy, but just a little bit of a rhythm. And then for the open hats, I actually have two right here. I have this one, which just kind of accents the 808s. So it just goes along with the 808s that hit right here and just accents them, kind of makes them stand out a little bit. So here's what that sounds like. So it's just kind of tucked in the back. And then I also have this open hat, which kind of is just the basic open hat rhythm, which kind of goes like this. It leads into that snare really nicely, and I have it to where it cuts off right when the snare comes in, which is something I really like to do, by making that envelope, kind of like how you would on an 808. I like to do that with my open hats that lead into a snare. It makes it sound a lot better, in my opinion, because you don't have any of the sound hanging over after the snare hits. So it sounds really good. It makes it sound a little cleaner. And then moving on to the hi-hats, I have a basic-ish pattern, like a basic pattern right here, and then I got some stutters right here and right here towards the end of 2-bar phrases to kind of phrase it a little bit. And give it a bit of rhythm. That way not everything's hitting at once. So you got like the open hats hitting and the 808s hitting up here, the hi-hats hitting back here, the hi-hats and the snares hitting back here. And you'll see what I mean. It kind of just moves with the drums and it has a rhythm to it. So here's what they sound like with the rest of the drums. So as you can see, it's kind of just phrased in these pockets. I don't know if you can see this, but right here, these pockets are vacant, and the hi-hat and the snare pockets are full. And then right here, when the hi-hat and the snare pocket is a little more vacant, the open hat pockets are full. So they kind of trade off, and it has a really good rhythm to it. And then other than that, I added this chant kind of sound effect and just put a lot of delay on it, I believe. Yeah, I just put some supermassive on it once again to give it a lot of delay and make it kind of taper off. And I kind of have it tucked in the back. I just like the accent that it has and the sound effect. So here's what that sounds like with all the other drums. And so it kind of just adds a different element and makes the beat sound a little more unique than just hi-hats, snare, open hat, the basic stuff. So moving on to the 808s. We have two 808s here. One of them is the Dirty's A808, and I have that hitting like this. I have it hitting the same pattern as the first open hat, just across the board, and then I have it cut off whenever the other 808 comes in. And I mentioned this in one of the videos on my old channel that's going to be migrated to this channel, that you want to have the envelope kind of like this, right? And then you want the cut self to be the same number right here on one 808. And then you go to the other 808 to have them trade off. You go to the other 808, do the same envelope, and then you have it cut by the same number. That way, this 808 isn't hitting at the same time that this one is. So I have them cut off each other. That way, they don't overlap and clash and all that stuff. Especially since they're different 808s, it would sound horrible. So like I said, this one hits the same pattern as the open hat, just across the board. Pretty simple. And then to fill in those gaps, I have these notes right here. So for the first 2-bar phrase, the notes are pretty simple on both of them right here. So the third 2-bar phrase is pretty simple, but the second and fourth 2-bar phrases are where it gets kind of intricate and kind of more complex. So I have these slides right here to give it like a catchy kind of rhythm and make it sound cool, obviously. But I have it right there. It's kind of like a drum fill, I guess, but it goes throughout the entire beat, and it kind of just has. It just kind of helps the beat move from this phrase to this phrase, and then from this phrase back to this phrase. So when you hear this, you know, oh, okay, it's about to start the second 4-bar phrase. And when you hear this, you know, okay, it's about to start back over again. So it kind of just helps move the beat along, and that's why I usually put the complex 808 stuff towards the end of either the 4-bar phrases or just the 8-bar phrase. So this is where I have most of the slides. It's probably the more complicated one. And so it kind of just slides up on the filler notes. And then on here, it just goes up and goes down. It's more simplified and more catchy. So I kind of just like how the complex one is first. It has a kind of unique phrasing to it. But it does go along with the rest of the beat really well because of the like hi-hats and how they're positioned and whatnot. So here's what the 808s sound like together. And then also one other thing I would mention is that on these I mess with the velocity, so it just adds a little bit of depth and more movement to it, rather than them just all hitting at max velocity like I usually do with my 808s. It just kind of adds a little bit of a dynamic in the volume there. So here's what all the drums sound like together. Yeah, that's pretty much it for this beat. I'm gonna go ahead and let this play out. This beat is actually for sale on my BeatStars. The link will be in the description along with all of my socials, so be sure to check that out. And if you want to buy this beat, you are more than welcome to. It's up on my BeatStars right now. And other than that, be sure to subscribe to this new channel and turn the notifications on, that way you don't miss a video. And be sure to check out my Type Beats channel. The link will also be in the description. Once again, to see all the type beats that I've been making, uploading, and selling. They're all for sale if they're on YouTube. If they've sold, then they're taken down. So everything that's posted up there is up for sale. So Other than that, I'm just gonna let this beat play out, and I'll see you guys in the next one.